President Trump today echoing Secretary of State Marco Rubio's suggestion that U.S. patience in reaching a peace deal with Ukraine has its limits. Joining me now is Deroy Murdock, Fox News contributor, and Emily Compagno, co-host of Outnumbered on Fox News and author of Under His Wings. There's one on your television screen, what we call a full screen, and I have one in my hands here, Emily. And wouldn't it be great? I mean, you have done so much to talk about the importance of faith in our lives, whether we're in the military or in politics. If this horrible war in Europe, the worst war in Europe since World War II, is brought to a conclusion during Easter weekend. It's just, I throw that out there, but it would be wonderful if there was an intervention, a divine intervention here, don't you think?
Amen to that. And thank you for your kindness with that. I mean,
sure.
It has been the blessing and an honor of a lifetime to serve as a small messenger for those extraordinary voices within that book. And I'll say, look, that the millions, the whole globe is watching what's going to happen right now. And Secretary of State Rubio, I said, look, we're going to know in a few days whether in a few weeks we will have reached a decision. And I think it's important to note the iceberg below the tip, which is, according to him, Special Presidential Envoy Wickoff has met with Putin 3 different times, right? They've been having these rounds of talks in France with more to come. So I think it goes well beyond a soundbite that the left likes to tout. At this point, there's a lot of conversation around what Russia is sort of hanging their hat on and what they are waiting for. And they've talked about the Ukraine mobilization efforts. They've talked about the West's arm. They say these are what are conditionally what we refuse to accept. But at the end of the day, my faith is in an administration that says, per the president today, we are done with this.
Right.
And not only are we done, but yes, I know when people come with enthusiasm, and I know when they come to the table to play, and everyone here joins with enthusiasm, he says.
Yeah, well, is this part of the art of the deal, Deroy, the fact that he's saying, that's it, our patience, I mean, he is saying he has hope that there's going to be a deal, but he says if they keep jerking us all around, we're not going to take it anymore. We're going to walk.
Yeah, I think that sometimes it's valuable to throw your hands up and say, I can't work like this.
Yeah, right.
Which is kind of what he's doing. And they might say, okay, calm down. Let's see if we can go back to the negotiating table. I think that, of course, this whole thing went off the rails when Zelensky didn't sign that mineral deal a few weeks back, and that had a meltdown in the
It looks like that hurdle has been gotten over now.
Well, we hope so.
It looks like Zelensky has realized that could save his rear end, his country.
Absolutely, and he's always said, I want security guarantees. I think there's something brilliant about that deal, which is the security guarantee basically will be American mining engineers, American executives on the ground.
And
the Russians is thinking, well, we better not lob a mortar shell because we might kill an American and create an international incident. So let's just take it easy. So I think it's very smart for him to go along with that deal. It means his economy picks up, and he has basically a commercial security guarantee as opposed to a military security guarantee, which will, I think, increase the prospects for long-term peace in Ukraine.
Emily, I don't think we can emphasize enough how proud he said, and I really truly believe President Trump is, about not starting any war during his first term and getting us out of a couple of wars, ending that horrible ISIS war that was going on in Syria. Maybe it's an impossible dream to believe that the Middle East could ever be without war, but he, if anything, stopped wars, but he certainly didn't start any new ones. And I think he wants to stop this war. He said the thing he's most proud of is being a peaceful president.
And distinguishing in the Oval Office today exactly what happened in the prior 4 years. And he went through and ticked off, he said the most embarrassing day potentially in U.S. history was the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. He talked about October 7th. He talked about the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and citing all of those to say, not only did they not happen on my watch, but they wouldn't have. And look, during that time, Iran was broke. Here's why. Yeah. And I love your point, because the economic prosperity, the investment in economic prosperity, and a global one at that, is why it's such a larger vision, and I think a stronger commitment to peace through strength, because he sees the forest for the trees, right? It's not about, I'm going to show my might. It's about, look, we're all going to work together to find mutually agreeable solutions, right. And that is the path to peace.
Absolutely. I want to end with some good news, which it's incredible news that Dakota Mayor, who is a Medal of Honor winner, extraordinary. We don't have time to read his. I think you can put it up on the screen. The citation itself, what he did in Afghanistan was just extraordinary. I mean, he went into a hail of gunfire from 50 Taliban people with just he and a driver of a Jeep banging away. They got some people, but he went back in 5 or 6 times to save people. And then he went in to get the bodies of his fallen comrades. I mean, this guy's amazing. And now he is re-upped in the Marine Corps. He's going to be in the reserves. But what a recruiting tool.
Absolutely.
And this shows you nobody understands how to bring recruitment back in the military the way our current Secretary of Defense, having been a gut boot Marine himself, understands what it's all about. Actually, he wasn't a Marine. He was in the Army, but we can't all be perfect. But anyway, doesn't this show you how much progress we're already making, and particularly the SecDef is making in reorganizing the military to bring people back in?
I think this absolutely does. The morale has gone back up. The recruitment's gone back up. You know, I've seen all this footage of Pete Hegseth out there doing exercises at 6 in the morning with the troops in the U.S. and overseas. That sort of thing. If you're trying to decide, do I join the military? What do I do with my life? You see the Secretary of Defense practicing and exercising the troops. That says, hey, these guys have my back. They're going to support me. We're not going to spend a lot of time doing DEI classes, and that's just going to get more people coming in to sign up for
He's the best recruiting tool we've had since World War II, in my mind.
Yeah.
Emily, your book, Under His Wings, everybody's got to go out and buy it. It's a perfect Easter gift, as a matter of fact, and a real tribute to our military and God's work within the military, which is very strong, as you document so well. Great to see you both. Have a wonderful, happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you.
All right, and don't miss Emily along with her co-host Kayleigh McEnany and Harris Faulkner on Outnumbered, of course, weekdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox News.